Welcome to the intermission part 3. So we're now at the point in between phases. So we've already talked about the first phase, your research phase, and just recently we covered phase 2, which is the preparation phase. If you've gone through all of that stuff up to this point, you've got everything ready, your boxes are packed, you're now just waiting to get on the flight to travel to the Philippines. That's where we're going to start into the next phase. Phase 3 is your journey phase. This is not going to be a very long phase. The videos themselves are probably not going to be very long, but we're just going to be covering certain topics about the actual travel and everything getting here. Because it's not always that simple. If you don't travel internationally that often, you're not used to these very long flights, having to go from airport to airport and having long layovers, it can be a little bit stressful for people at times. So we're just going to be covering certain information. Last minute checks is basically what other stuff just do you have to do real quick before you physically get on that flight. Like, what do you need to do as your last minute checks just to make sure everything's good to go, you're not leaving something behind. We're also going to be talking about departing the long trip. I'm talking about what it's going to be like sitting on an airplane for 20, 30, 40 hours with different layovers, going through different airports, having to go through the security checks, the customs, just all that kind of hassle. Certain things you might want to prepare for such a very long trip. A couple items you might want to think about bringing with you or buying while you're inside of an airport, etc. And sorry, I've got my notes here on the phone. And then the arrival. This is going to be a little bit of a longer topic, basically. I'm going to be talking about once you arrive here in the Philippines, if you've never been here before, or if it's been a very long time since you have been here, what to expect once you get here. From the second you get off that aircraft and you walk into the airport, what's it going to be like? What are things you need to be thinking about? Things you need to avoid? Different scams or problems that can arise, where you need to be focused, places you need to go, things you need to do to make sure that you're secure. We're going to be talking about security. What do you need to do to make sure that your purse, your wallet, your handbag, your whatever doesn't get stolen? It happens, pickpockets and thieves. So we're going to be talking about that kind of stuff. We're just going to be covering everything that's going to happen for your trip here and once you get here. And then we're also going to be talking about getting to your destination, which would be your temporary arrival lodging. Again, when you first get here, you are not going to have a place to live, except in those very extreme circumstances. Usually, though, you're not going to have a house or apartment, condo. You're not going to have that yet. You're going to need to have a lodging to sit and go and check stuff out. You might be wanting to live there in Metro Manila. You might be wanting to live in one of the outskirts, Subic, Clark, or you might be really far off. You might be having to travel down to Cebu or Davao. So we're going to talk about how you're actually going to get from the airport to your destination. And that's pretty much going to cover the journey phase. From there, then we go into the next phase, but this coming phase is not going to be a very long phase. There is going to be some very important information that you need to pay attention to, especially arriving at the airport, certain security steps that you need to take for securing your possessions, making sure you don't get scammed, pickpocketed, robbed, etc. And that will pretty much just be that phase. I'm going to talk about, of course, like usual, at the end, covering my experiences of coming here. Just as a note on that, I have been here before, but it has been around 16 years or almost 16 years since the last time I was here. So yes, I knew what to expect, but because it had been so long, I wasn't quite sure what would change or not. Luckily, when I got here, immediately so many things came back that were familiar. But it's definitely an experience that can cause emotional response, whatever you want to call it. So I'm just going to be talking about those kind of things to help you out so that when you do arrive here, you're not freaking out, you're not panicking, you're not stressed, you're not whatever. It's just going to be much easier. You're going to be a little bit more focused on getting what you need to do to get your ass out of that airport so you don't have to deal with any other problems. And that's pretty much it. So I look forward to seeing you guys in the next videos for the next phase. And I really hope this has been useful information. If you are finding these videos helpful, if you aren't already a subscriber, please subscribe and help the channel grow out. And definitely go through and browse through all the other videos that we've been doing, because it is a series. So it's starting from the beginning and it's going to go all the way to the end, where this is just a lot of useful information building up on everything. So if you're coming in around this time, watching some of the previous videos, but you haven't watched others, just go check them out, see if it's going to be information you're interested in. Thanks.